Riley shot up in bed, clutching her face, heart pounding as a deep, burning ache spread across her upper lip. She stumbled into the bathroom and flipped on the light, and froze. Her lip had swollen to twice its normal size, purple, with darkened edges, glossy from inflammation. The skin had started to crack near the center. A thin stream of blood, mixed with pale yellow fluid, slid down her chin. She screamed, "Oh God, what's happening to my face?" What happened next wasn't just painful, it was irreversible. Stick around to find out how a simple beauty appointment turned into a nightmare that changed her life, and her face, forever. Riley Summers was used to being seen. Her face had lived in a ring light for almost 3 years, beaming into TikTok feeds across the country. Her voice had narrated thousands of morning routines and makeup hauls. Her smile, quick, playful, a little lopsided, had become her signature D-bar. Lately, the numbers weren't adding up. "Your engagement's down again," Maya said, glancing at her phone while Riley dabbed concealer under her eyes. "3rd week in a row." Riley didn't look up. "It's just a dip." Maya raised an eyebrow. "That's what you said last week." Riley stayed quiet, blending her makeup in silence. In the mirror, her lips looked thinner than usual, flat almost. The camera, she thought, was suddenly unforgiving. She posted her soft girl winter look tutorial that afternoon. It got half the views of her usual uploads. The comments were polite but flat. No buzz, no reposts, no brand DMs. That night, she scrolled TikTok for hours. One video in particular kept showing up: lump lips, juicy, glossy. The kind of lips that didn't just talk about makeup, they made makeup look better. Trending sound played beneath the video. "You're not ugly, you're just broke." Eiley sighed, thumb hovering over the duet button. She gave in. She filmed a reaction video using a new filter, one that inflated her lips by 20%, subtly at first, then more. It was ridiculous. And perfect. Her phone buzzed with likes before she could even caption it. 20 minutes, 10,000 views. By midnight, it passed 50,000. She stared at herself in the front-facing camera. The filtered lips looked right, like they belonged to the version of Riley who would get invited to brand trips and sit in the front row at beauty panels. She turned to Maya, who sat on the couch editing a sponsored post. "What if I got filler?" Riley asked. Maya looked up, startled. "Wait, for real?" Riley shrugged. "Just a little. I mean, this video is exploding." Maya narrowed her eyes. "Because of a filter?" Riley didn't answer. "You don't need filler," Maya continued. "Your lips are literally perfect, and you've built this whole thing on being natural." "Exactly," Riley said. "And now everyone's moved past that. No one cares about natural anymore. It's all about enhancement." "That's not enhancement, that's inflation," Maya muttered. Riley ignored her. She was already deep in an Instagram spiral, sliding from one before and after post to another, each caption promising subtle, kissable volume in minutes.
Because you're clearly
Celebs,
upset and you
influencers,
won't
micro-creators,
talk to me about
everyone seemed to be doing it, and none of them looked like they regretted it. "I mean, people get filler on their lunch breaks," Riley said. "It's not even a big deal anymore." Maya crossed her arms. "So what, you're just gonna walk into some random med spa and let them stab your face?" Riley grinned. "Obviously not. I'll find somewhere good." And then she saw it. A sponsored post, perfectly timed. Aurora Aesthetics, Beverly Hills' first lip destination. "Book now for our winter Luxe Filler special. Only $199. The photos were stunning. Before and after shots that looked like magazine covers. Testimonials from influencers Riley followed. One even featured a familiar face from her Explore page. "See?" she said, holding up her phone. "This place is legit. Look at these results." Maya leaned over, skeptical. "That's either Facetune or witchcraft." Riley tapped book now. Nathan called just as Riley was brushing her hair. She let the call ring twice before answering, flipping the camera so he could see her. "You're glowing," he said, smiling. "New serum?" She laughed. "Filter." He leaned in. "Please tell me you're not going full Kardashian on me." "It's just fun," she replied too fast. "Chill." Nathan paused. "Wait, did you do something?" Riley hesitated, then shook her head. "Not yet." "Not yet?" His smile faded. "Riley." "It's nothing," she said, walking into the kitchen. "I'm just considering a little enhancement. You know, touch-ups. Everyone's doing it." "I thought you hated all that," Nathan said. "You always said filters were fake and injectables were—" "I think your word was desperate." "Yeah, well," she snapped, "maybe desperate is the only thing that gets views these days." There was silence. "I just don't want you to feel like you have to change to be enough," he said quietly. She stared at the screen, something twisting in her chest. Then she smiled. Tight, practiced. "I gotta go. Live stream in 10. Love you." She ended the call before he could say it back. Riley stood in the glow of her vanity mirror, phone propped, camera ready. She applied a thick gloss, puckered her lips, and whispered to her followers, "Big surprise coming soon." She didn't mention the appointment, didn't tell Maya she'd already confirmed it for Saturday afternoon, didn't tell Nathan she'd entered her credit card info at 2 a.m. and selected a time slot marked high demand celebrity injector on site. She didn't even fully admit it to herself. All she knew was that when she posted another filter-free video the next day, her comments were filled with, "Your lips look smaller today? Where's that plumpness from last vid? Girl, bring back those juicy lips." Her heart sank. She stared at her screen for a full minute, then closed the app. Saturday came fast. Maya knocked on Riley's bedroom door, holding coffee in concern. "You sure you're not just exhausted?" Riley pulled on her hoodie. "I'm fine. You've been quiet all week." "I've just been planning content." Maya hesitated. "Content like filler content?" Riley forced a laugh. "You're obsessed." "No," Maya said firmly. "I'm your friend." Riley avoided her gaze. "Look, it's just something I'm trying. It's safe, quick, everyone does it." Maya crossed her arms. "Did you even research the place?" "It's Aurora Aesthetics," Riley said. "They're in Beverly Hills. Influencers line up to get in. That doesn't mean it's safe." Riley looked her dead in the eyes. "It doesn't mean it's not." And with that, she walked out. Outside, the air was warm. A breeze swept through Sunset Boulevard as she slid into a rideshare headed to Beverly Hills. As they pulled away, she opened her phone. The clinic's Instagram was glowing. Fresh reels, high-profile tags, celebrity clients with faces like porcelain and lips like pillows. She tapped into her front camera, zoomed in on her reflection. Her lips, real lips, suddenly looked thin, faded, unfinished. And in that moment it was decided. This wasn't about self-love, or authenticity, or what Nathan thought, or what Maya feared. This was about keeping up, about not falling behind, about never letting a filter outperform her face again. The car turned onto Wilshire Boulevard. Riley exhaled and whispered, "Let's level up." The black SUV pulled up to a gleaming white building tucked between a designer eyewear boutique and a silent sushi bar. A silver sign read, "Aurora Aesthetics." Underneath, a smaller plaque, "Redefining Beauty, one face at a time." Riley stepped out of the car, heart ticking faster than usual. She had done brand shoots in hotels less glamorous than this place. The windows were mirrored, the sidewalk smelled like gardenia. Everything felt curated for Instagram, even the valet. Inside, the waiting lounge was dipped in blush pink and soft gold. Velvet chairs, marble counters, diffuser mist floating like magic in the air. On the wall, a giant loop of videos showing glowing testimonials, sped-up procedures, side-by-side transformations. Influencers with millions of followers praised the miracle hands of Dr. Lennox, founder and lead injector. Riley checked in at the counter, where a receptionist in nude lipstick and flawless skin offered a clipboard and a coconut water. "I'm here for the Luxe Lip session," Riley said. "Perfect," the receptionist chirped. "We've got you down for 2:30 with Amy. She's one of our top trainees, supervised directly by Dr. Lennox. You're in amazing hands." Riley blinked. "Wait, trainee?" The receptionist smiled again, like it was part of the script. "All of our advanced trainees have completed hundreds of hours of training, and Dr. Lennox always does the final pass. It's super common. Most of our influencers request Amy, actually. She's incredible." That last sentence clung to Riley's brain like a sticker she couldn't peel off. She looked around. The room was full of beautiful people pretending not to stare at each other. Glossed lips, snatched jawlines, cheeks sharp as shadows. She could almost hear the inner monologues. "Be prettier, be smoother, be younger, don't mess up." She sat down, crossed her legs, uncrossed them, checked her phone. A new DM. "Where'd you get those lips last time? You looked bomb." She smiled, then caught her reflection in the black screen. Her smile faded. A door opened. "Riley?" She stood, tucking her phone away. Amy was younger than she expected, maybe 25, blonde, thin designer scrubs clinging perfectly to a too small frame. She had the kind of face that made Riley instantly want to put more foundation on. "Hi, I'm Amy. I'll be doing your session today," she said, ushering Riley into the back. "Dr. Lennox will pop in for your pre-check and do your mapping." The procedure room looked like a page from a medical luxury catalog. Stainless steel, warm lights, a wall of curated skincare behind glass. Amy gestured toward the reclined chair. "You can set your bag here." Riley sat down slowly. "So," Amy said, pulling on gloves, "we're thinking subtle volume, soft projection, anything you want to correct symmetry-wise?" Riley swallowed. Yeah, just fuller, but still natural. Just a little pop." "Love it," Amy beamed. "That's totally my specialty." "Her specialty," Riley nodded, but her stomach coiled. Dr. Lennox appeared 5 minutes later, handsome, commanding, barely 30 seconds in the room. He drew dots along Riley's upper lip with a white pencil, nodded once, then said, "Looking good. Amy'll take it from here. You're gonna love your results." And just like that, he was gone. Amy turned toward the tray of syringes. Riley shifted in the chair. "So, you've done this a lot, right?" Amy laughed. "Oh my God, yes. Tons. Like everyone's freaking out about it being me, but honestly, it's so routine. Promise, you're in good hands." She clicked the cap off the needle. Riley's heart ticked louder. A part of her wanted to sit up and walk out. Actually, never mind. Say, "I'll reschedule with Dr. Lennox." Say anything. But she didn't. Because she was already here. Because she didn't want to look difficult. Because she'd already told her followers something big was coming. Because walking out would feel like failure. So she laid back and closed her eyes. The first injection stung more than she expected. It wasn't the pinch everyone online described. It was deeper, like someone was pushing something thick and foreign into her face. Riley flinched, just a little, as Amy's hand hovered above her mouth. "You okay?" Amy asked, still smiling. "Yeah," Riley breathed. "Just sensitive." Amy kept going. Each plunge of the needle brought a new wave of pressure, sharp, then dull, then spreading. Riley's eyes watered, but she blinked fast to hide it. Her fingers gripped the chair's edge beneath the blanket. "You're doing amazing," Amy chirped. "Just a few more points." Riley focused on the ceiling. She thought about the videos she'd watched, how easy it all looked. Fast, glamorous, clean. She remembered one influencer winking post-procedure, "Didn't even feel it, babes." Liar. Amy switched sides. Riley felt a slight tremble in the girl's wrist. Just the smallest shake. The next poke hit a nerve. A sharp, icy flash shot from the corner of her mouth up toward her nose. Her body jerked. "Whoa, sorry," Amy said quickly. "That spot can be spicy." "Spicy?" Riley swallowed hard. "It's okay." But it wasn't. Her upper lip already felt tight, heavy. The numbing cream had dulled some of it, but she could still sense the swelling beginning, like balloons slowly inflating beneath her skin. Amy wiped around her mouth with gauze. "Let's do a quick check." She grabbed a handheld mirror and held it up. Riley looked at herself. The change was immediate. Her lips looked fuller, rounder, glossy from the ointment, red from the trauma. The top lip now touched the bottom, something it never used to do. It wasn't ugly, but it wasn't hers. She stared at her reflection, trying to recognize herself. Just then, Dr. Lennox returned, glancing over Amy's work. He nodded once. "Looks good. I'll smooth the Cupid's bow slightly." He took the syringe and adjusted 2 spots with lightning precision. His touch was fast, professional, impersonal. "You'll swell a bit more over the next 24 hours, he said. "Ice packs, no heavy exercise, avoid alcohol, and no kissing, sorry." He smiled, already halfway out the door. Amy handed Riley a small ice pack and a bag of aftercare supplies. "Done," she said brightly. "You did awesome." Riley stood up, legs wobbly. Her face felt foreign, heavier, as if the muscles beneath her cheeks were trying to stretch around something unnatural, but she smiled. Because that's what she was supposed to do. She stepped into the hallway, pulled out her phone, found the perfect lighting near the full-length mirror, and hit record. "Okay, guys. I just got my lips done at Aurora Aesthetics, and are you kidding me? These are unreal. I'm obsessed." She made a kissing face. Peace sign. Bit her lower lip. Hundreds would watch this within minutes. Maybe thousands. She tagged the clinic, added a trending audio, and hit upload. Walking out into the sunlit lobby, she caught her reflection in the glass doors. The lips looked Big? Too big? No, just swollen. That's what they said would happen. In the car, she reapplied lip gloss carefully, trying not to smudge the numbing ointment. Her phone buzzed with comments already pouring in. Okay, who is she? Drop the location now, these are everything. She smiled, but only half of her face moved. By the time she got home, the numbness had started to fade. What came next was pressure. Building, pushing from the inside. Not pain exactly, but something close. A fullness that didn't feel right, like her skin was stretching against its will. She stood in front of the mirror again, same lips, but this time, they looked bruised, a shade darker, a slight tinge of purple rising near the corner, probably just blood settling, or capillaries. She reached for the clinic's aftercare card. Mild bruising and swelling is normal. Apply ice packs 10 minutes per hour. Avoid makeup and touching the area. Everything was fine. This was normal. She told herself that 5 times before bed, and one last time before she turned off the lights, looked at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, and whispered, "Tomorrow, it'll look perfect." The morning light hit differently. It wasn't warm or inviting. It was sharp, almost fluorescent, cutting through the blinds of Riley's West Hollywood apartment, like a spotlight on a stage she hadn't agreed to stand on. Her lips throbbed before she even opened her eyes. She reached for her phone, habit, muscle memory, and caught her reflection in the black screen. She sat up fast. Her lips were swollen. Not just a little puffy, not freshly plumped like the aftercare card had said. They were twice the size they'd been last night, blotchy with shades of red, purple, and something that looked like ink bleeding under the skin. She rushed to the bathroom. Under the harsh vanity lights, the full picture emerged. Her upper lip looked bruised from the inside out. The left side had begun to swell unevenly, curling slightly under. A dark purple line stretched along the Cupid's bow. At the corner of her mouth, a small yellowish patch had formed, as if the skin had been punched and was starting to rot. Riley's breath quickened. Okay, it's just swelling. They said swelling. She grabbed the ice pack from the freezer and pressed it gently against her lips. The cold sent a shock through her gums. She held it for 5 seconds, then pulled it away. The swelling pulsed back instantly, like a balloon reinflating. She checked her phone. Notifications were pouring in on her TikTok video bar. Girl, those lips are fiber. You went from 7 to 12 real quick. Where did you go? Need the plug, bar. He stared at the comments. They didn't match what she was seeing in the mirror. He called the clinic Bar. "Hi, this is Riley Summers," she said when the receptionist answered. "I had a Lux lip session yesterday, and I'm seeing some unexpected bruising bar." The receptionist's tone didn't change. "Hi, Riley. So bruising and swelling are totally normal, especially on day 1. Just keep icing and use the arnica tablets we provided, bar. But the swelling's uneven," Riley said. "One side's like turning under, and there's this patch, like a yellow bruise, bar. The receptionist paused. "Did you have any previous lip filler?" Bar. "No, bar. Any history of cold sores?" Bar. "No. Look, I'm not trying to overreact, but it doesn't feel normal." "We totally get that," the receptionist said, too chipper for Riley's spiraling heart rate. "If it still feels off by Monday, we can schedule a follow-up. But for now, ice, arnica, and lots of hydration. You'll be back to gorgeous in no time." Riley hung up. She stood in the bathroom, phone in one hand, ice pack in the other. The bruise had already darkened in the time she'd been on the call. She tried to stretch her mouth into a smile, barely moved. She couldn't remember ever feeling this foreign in her own skin. She took a picture, no filter, no gloss, just her face under the hard light, lips swollen and bruised. Then she stared at it, then deleted it. She lay back in bed, elevated her head with 2 pillows, and tried to nap. But every 10 minutes, she sat up to check the mirror. The swelling didn't go down. If anything, it crept outward, down toward her chin, up toward her nostrils. The area between her nose and lip began to tingle, then go numb. Her entire mouth felt like it was vibrating under the surface. Still, she told herself, they said it's normal. They see this every day. They would have warned me if it was serious. But a voice in her chest, the one she'd ignored in the chair yesterday, whispered something different now. This isn't normal. And you know it. By late afternoon, the pain had shifted from dull to sharp. It wasn't just throbbing anymore. It was stretching, pulling, like her skin was fighting something it couldn't contain. The left side of her upper lip had ballooned beyond symmetry, while the right curled under with a tightness that made speaking uncomfortable. She tried to sip water through a straw. The straw bent. Her reflection now looked like a glitch in a beauty app. She texted Maya, "Are you home? Can you come by?" Less than 30 minutes later, Maya burst through the apartment door, still in leggings and an oversized hoodie. Her hair pulled into a high bun. "Hey, what's—" She stopped mid-sentence. "Oh my God." Riley didn't move. Her lips, no, her mouth, was a mess of swelling, bruising, and discoloration. The yellow patch had deepened into something brownish. Her upper lip was stretched so far outward it cast a shadow on her chin. The skin was shiny, tight. Her eyes were glassy from the pressure. "I think something's wrong," Riley whispered, but her voice came out slurred, lips unable to form the words fully. Maya dropped her bag and crossed the room in seconds. "This isn't just bruising, Riley. This is bad. This looks infected or dead." "Dead." Riley's chest tightened. "I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but this is not healing." Riley sat down slowly. "I called them. They said wait until Monday. It's Saturday. They said swelling is normal. That bruising happens." "This is not bruising," Maya snapped. "This is your body screaming. You need to go back. Now." Riley shook her head. "I can't go there. They're closed for the weekend. Then urgent care. Something. You can't just sit here waiting for your face to fix itself." Riley covered her mouth, the gesture instinctual, but even the lightest touch sent a sharp sting through her skin. She flinched. "I don't want people to see me like this," she murmured. "I look hurt," Maya finished. "You look hurt." Riley's phone buzzed on the table, a new comment under her TikTok reel. "Bray, kinda overfilled but still cute burr." He turned the phone over. "Burr." Her hands were shaking. Numbness was spreading now. Not just the lip but the skin above it, the philtrum, the base of her nose. Her face felt detached from itself, like it was swelling away from her bones. "Par." He called the clinic again. Straight to voicemail. "Bar. Ride the after-hours number in the pamphlet." Rang 6 times. Then "Burr. You've reached Aurora Aesthetics after-hours line. Please leave a message and someone will return your call during normal business hours. Bar. Eat bar. 01 was coming. Her vision blurred, not from tears, but from pressure building behind her eyes. "I just wanted to fix one thing," she whispered, more to herself than to Maya. "I just wanted to look like I belonged." Maya knelt in front of her, placing a hand gently on her knee. "You do belong, and this isn't your fault, but you need help now." Riley nodded slowly, but her lips didn't move. Not really. She could feel the swelling creeping up toward her nose, into her cheeks. Her face felt alien, heavy, like something inside her had shifted out of place, and no one could shift it back. And the worst part, she had let it happen. She had paid for it. She had smiled through the needle, posted the video, read the comments, all while her face was beginning to break. The hospital lights were too bright. Everything about Cedars Sinai felt clinical and cold. The polished tile floors, the hum of machines, the quick, efficient footsteps of nurses passing by. Riley sat hunched in a wheelchair, oversized hoodie pulled over her head, her face tilted downward like she could somehow hide what was happening to it. She couldn't. A nurse glanced at her, then did a double take. Within seconds, a call was made, a curtain drawn, a series of questions fired off with trained precision. When was the injection? What was injected? Where? Any allergies? Riley could barely speak. Her words came out slurred, muffled. Maya answered for her, voice sharp, furious. "Yesterday. Hyaluronic acid filler, upper lip. The injector was a trainee, and no allergies. But something's wrong." The attending physician examined Riley briefly, then murmured something under his breath and left the room. Within 5 minutes, a new figure entered. Taller, older, calm in a way that made the chaos around him feel almost muted. Dr. Raj Patel. His lab coat was crisp, his steps unhurried, his expression unreadable, except for the deep focus in his eyes as he approached Riley. "I'm Dr. Patel," he said. "I specialize in facial vascular complications, injuries from injectables mostly. Let's take a look." He moved carefully, asked her to tilt her chin, gently touched along her lip line with gloved fingers. "Do you feel this?" he asked. Riley shook her head. He tapped a different spot. "Here?" "No," she whispered. "Nothing." He leaned back slowly. Maya looked from him to Riley. "What is it?" Dr. Patel took a breath, then spoke quietly, without drama, but with unmistakable gravity. "It appears the filler has occluded, blocked, a branch of the superior labial artery. That's why there's swelling, discoloration, and numbness." Riley blinked, unsure what half those words meant. Maya did not. "Occluded," she repeated. "You mean the blood flow is cut off?" He nodded. "Correct. The tissue is being starved of oxygen. If left untreated, that can lead to necrosis, tissue death." The room seemed to tilt slightly under Riley's feet. Tissue death, necrosis. This wasn't bruising. This wasn't just spicy spots and swelling. This was damage. Permanent damage. "How do we fix it?" Maya asked quickly, her voice rising. "There is a way to fix it, right?" "There's a treatment," Dr. Patel said. "It's called hyaluronidase. It dissolves the filler. We'll inject it directly into the affected area to try to restore blood flow." He paused. "But timing matters. Every hour without circulation increases the risk of irreversible damage." Riley felt heat rising in her face, not from anger, from shame. She'd waited. She'd told herself it was normal. She'd iced and smiled and filmed. While her face was dying, Dr. Patel reached for a tray. "We'll begin immediately." She gripped Maya's hand as he prepped the syringe. The antiseptic smell hit her first, then the cold swipe of alcohol along her upper lip. She didn't want to cry. Not again. But her body was trembling. "This is going to burn," Dr. Patel warned gently. "I won't lie." "Do it," Riley said, voice tight. "Just do it." The first injection felt like acid beneath her skin. She gasped, squeezed her eyes shut. Maya squeezed her hand harder. Another shot, then another. Her lip throbbed as the enzyme flooded the area, trying to melt away the gel that had blocked her blood supply. Every nerve ending seemed to scream. She felt the heat radiating down her chin, into her gums, up beneath her eyes. It didn't feel like healing. It felt like punishment. After what felt like an eternity, Dr. Patel set the syringe down and stepped back. "We'll watch for improvement," he said. "If blood flow returns, the color will shift. The swelling may go down slightly. But," he didn't finish the sentence. Riley did. "But if it's too late, part of my lip might not come back." Dr. Patel met her eyes. "Yes." For the first time since arriving, Riley looked at Maya, not with fear, but with something worse, regret. She whispered, "I did this to myself." Maya didn't flinch. "You trusted them." Riley looked down at her lap. "I trusted me." The hours crawled by in a fluorescent haze. Riley lay in the hospital bed, the upper half of her body slightly elevated, her mouth lined with gauze and medical gel. The burning had faded into a numb ache, but the pressure still lingered, a tight ballooning just under the surface. Dr. Patel came back twice to examine the area. He used a small flashlight to assess the color, the texture, the responsiveness of the skin. He asked her to smile. She tried. The left side barely moved. He pressed gently on her upper lip and watched for blood return. Part of it pinked up, part of it didn't. He gave a slight nod, more to himself than to her. "The good news is that we restored some circulation. The enzyme worked in the major area. But the upper quadrant, here," he pointed at a section near the philtrum, where the skin remained an eerie bluish gray. "There's necrosis setting in. A localized patch. The tissue there didn't survive the blockage." Riley stared at him. "So what does that mean?" "It means you'll likely lose a small portion of the skin. Not the whole lip, thankfully. But you may require minor surgical excision, possibly grafting later. It depends on how your body heals over the next few days." She didn't respond. It wasn't because she didn't understand. It was because she did. She would lose part of her face. Dr. Patel spoke gently, trying to soften the blow. "We'll manage it cosmetically, of course. It can be reconstructed. I've done hundreds of these repairs. People go on to live fully normal lives. But it's permanent," she finished. "There will always be a scar." He nodded. A nurse knocked lightly on the door frame. "There's a visitor," she said. Riley frowned. "Who?" Then she saw her. Karen Summers, her mother, stood in the doorway, clutching her purse like a lifeline, her eyes wide with something between terror and heartbreak. "Mom?" Karen stepped forward, slowly, as if afraid the sight of her daughter might break her in two. She took in the foreline, the monitors, the swelling across Riley's face, the half-dead patch of lip already beginning to crust over. "Oh my God, Riley," she whispered. What happened to you? Riley couldn't speak.
I
She
told
felt
you it
16
wasn't a
again,
big deal,
caught
Maya.
sneaking
Why
out,
can't you
caught
just
failing a
drop
test,
it?
caught lying about
Because
something
you're
small that
clearly
spiraled into
upset and you
something
won't
big.
talk to me
Except this
about
wasn't a
it.
teenage mistake. This was her face. Karen came closer, sat down at the edge of the bed, and touched Riley's arm. I got on the first flight I could, she said, voice shaking. Maya called me. She said you were in the hospital and I didn't believe her. I didn't want to. Riley looked away. Tears welled up again, but she refused to let them fall. I was just trying to fix one thing, she said hoarsely. I didn't think it would matter. Karen's face crumpled. Of course it matters. You matter. I didn't think it would go this far, Riley continued, voice rising. It was supposed to be safe. They were professionals. They had a waiting list. They posted celebrities. She laughed bitterly. They posted lies. Karen didn't respond right away. Instead, she reached into her purse and pulled out an old photo. Creased, faded, torn slightly at the edges. It was Riley, age 7, missing her front teeth, smiling through a mess of chocolate ice cream and freckles. Do you remember this? Karen asked. Riley blinked. That was Disneyland. You hated that picture, her mother said. You cried when I tried to frame it. You said you looked ugly, that your lips were too thin. Riley felt the memory slam into her like a wave. I never thought you'd carry that feeling with you this long. Silence. I just wanted to belong, Riley whispered. Karen leaned forward. Riley, you don't belong to them, to the internet, to their comments. You belong to you, and no one gets to make you feel like that's not enough. Riley's shoulders shook. It was the first time she let herself break. Not for the camera, not for content, not for drama. Just break. And in an sterile room filled with machines and beeping and antiseptic smells, she cried, not for the pain, or the procedure, or even the scar that was coming. She cried for the girl who thought a new smile would finally make her enough. The camera stayed off. For the first time in over 2 years, Riley Summers didn't post a single video for an entire week. No makeup tutorials, no get ready with me, no let's talk favorites with a ring light and a curated desk of products. Her phone sat on the nightstand, fully charged, untouched. The silence online was louder than she expected. The emails came first. Hey Riley, just checking in. We noticed a delay on the sponsored reel. Let us know your new upload schedule. Then, more pointed, due to project timelines, we'll be reallocating our budget this quarter. Thanks for your time. Then the worst. Given the visual nature of this campaign, we've decided to pause collaboration until further notice. It wasn't personal. It was business. But to Riley, it felt like exile. She sat at her kitchen table in a hoodie 3 sizes too big, the hood pulled low over her face. She hadn't looked directly in the mirror since coming home from the hospital, not without flinching, not without feeling that tight, burning shame rise up her throat like acid. The healing process was slow, ugly. The upper quadrant of her lip had turned dark and hard before eventually peeling off like sunburned skin. Beneath it, raw, shiny tissue that looked nothing like what had been there before. The doctors said she was healing as expected. The graft site was small, a minor cosmetic defect. But to Riley, it was a disfigurement. She couldn't apply lipstick, couldn't purse her lips, couldn't smile the way she used to. Not without seeing that crooked stretch across the center, the uneven pull of the scar tissue. The irony was cruel. She had done this to be more beautiful, to level up, and now, she didn't even want to be seen. She'd canceled 3 brand calls, ignored 2 podcast invites, told her management team she was taking a break to focus on mental health. They replied with a single thumbs up emoji. Supportive, safe, distant. Everyone was distant now. She'd built an entire life on visibility, on angles, on filters, on lighting tricks. Now she sat in the dark of her own apartment, hiding from the very lens that had once made her feel powerful. Maya came by daily with groceries and bad jokes. She brought smoothies Riley barely sipped, vitamins Riley forgot to take. She didn't ask for updates, didn't push, just sat beside her on the couch and played Netflix in the background. Sometimes Riley forgot Maya was there. Sometimes Maya was the only thing anchoring her to the world. But even Maya didn't know what happened at night. At night, Riley scrolled. She searched hashtags like #fillerjourney and #lipfiller before-after. She watched influencers laugh off bruises, show flawless results, tag med spas like badges of honor. She read the comments. Obsessed with these lips, goals. Where did you go? I need this. Riley would stare at those faces, their symmetry, their glow. and feel something twist inside her. Not jealousy, not even regret. Something colder, a kind of mourning. She wasn't mourning the face she had before. She was mourning the part of her that thought none of this could happen. That voice in her head, the one that said, "It's just filler, everyone does it," had gone silent. Now, there was only the voice that counted how much she had lost: 1 upper lip, 3 brand partnerships, 2 months of content, and the confidence to show her face to the world. She hadn't told her followers yet. Not really, not honestly. She didn't know how. Not when every angle looked wrong, not when every smile felt broken, and so, the camera stayed off. On the 8th day, Maya finally broke. She stood in Riley's kitchen, arms crossed, watching Riley push scrambled eggs around a plate like they offended her. Riley's lips barely moved. Every bite looked like effort. Every swallow looked like pain. "You can't stay like this," Maya said. Riley didn't respond. Maya leaned forward, voice sharper now. "You haven't gone outside. You haven't answered Nathan. You haven't spoken to your manager. You haven't even looked at yourself. You're disappearing." Riley's fingers tightened around her fork. "Maybe I should," Maya blinked. "Excuse me?" Riley finally lifted her eyes. They were dull, exhausted, haunted. "Maybe I'm done, Maya. Maybe the internet doesn't need me anymore. Maybe this is what happens when you try too hard." Maya's jaw clenched. No, this is what happens when an industry sells women the idea that they're broken, and then profits when they try to fix themselves. Riley's throat tightened. "I don't even look like me." Maya softened, stepping closer. "You still are you." Riley's laugh came out broken. "You keep saying that like it matters." "It matters because you're alive," Maya snapped. "And because you're not the only one. Do you have any idea how many girls are watching you, thinking about doing the same thing?" Riley looked away. Maya reached for Riley's phone on the counter. "Let me see." "No, Riley." Riley's voice went low. I can't see it." Maya picked up the phone anyway, unlocked it with Riley's Face ID, then froze. It didn't work. The camera rejected her. The swelling, the bruising, the scar tissue. Her own phone didn't recognize her anymore. Maya looked at Riley with something like grief. "Oh, babe." Riley's eyes welled instantly. "See, even my phone doesn't know who I am." Maya sat down beside her, opened the phone with the passcode Riley whispered through clenched teeth, and pulled up TikTok. Her last video, her glossy lips in perfect lighting, still sat there like a cruel joke, like a snapshot of innocence before a fall bruh. Aya scrolled BB. EU comments had piled up BBT first, the same ones. "Where'd you go? Update? We need the final result." Then the tone shifted. She probably botched herself. "This is why you don't mess with your face. Karma for being fake. Should have stayed natural." Riley's body went rigid. Maya's finger hovered over the screen, but it was too late. Riley had already read them. Every word hit like a slap. She reached for the phone with shaking hands. Her lips trembled, not from swelling this time, but from humiliation so sharp it felt physical. She clicked her DMs. The first message was from a teenage girl. "I was gonna get filler when I turn 18. Now I'm scared. Are you okay?" Riley stared. She clicked another. "I loved your confidence. Please don't disappear." Then another. "My mom says fillers are dangerous, but I didn't believe her until now." Riley swallowed hard. More DMs came. Some were kind, some were cruel, some were pure curiosity, like she'd become a public experiment. "Show us what happened. Did it hurt? Was it worth it? Did you sue? Did your boyfriend leave? Drop the clinic name." Riley threw the phone onto the counter like it burned. "I can't," she whispered. Maya steadied her voice. "You can. Not today, maybe. But you can." Riley shook her head violently. "You don't get it. My face is my job. My smile is my brand. And now my smile is—" She pressed her fingers to her mouth, but the touch made her flinch. "It's ruined." Maya's eyes filled. "Your smile isn't ruined." Riley looked up, desperate. "Then why can't I look at it? Why do I feel sick every time I see myself?" Maya didn't have an answer. Because the truth was cruel. Riley wasn't just grieving her lips. She was grieving the version of herself who had believed she could control how the world saw her. She was grieving the girl who thought beauty was a choice. Now beauty felt like a debt she could never pay back. Riley stood suddenly, chair scraping against the floor. She stumbled into the bathroom, slammed the door, and turned on the sink so Maya wouldn't hear the sob that tore out of her throat. But Maya heard. She followed, knocking softly. "Riley, open the door." Riley didn't. She stared at her reflection instead. The mirror didn't lie. Her lip was uneven now. The upper center pulled tight where tissue had died. The scar was still glossy, healing, angry. Her mouth couldn't shape the same smile she'd built her career on. She looked like someone else. Someone who had learned a lesson the hard way. And for the first time, Riley didn't just feel regret. She felt rage, not at herself. At the clinic that had smiled and promised perfection. At the receptionist who'd told her to wait until Monday. At the influencer culture that convinced her her face was a project instead of a gift. She pressed her palm against the mirror, eyes burning. "I didn't just lose followers," she whispered, voice cracking. "I lost the girl who used to love her own smile." Behind her, Maya's voice softened through the door. "You didn't lose her," she said. "She's still in there. She's just hurt." Riley slid down to the floor, back against the cabinet, and finally let the tears come. Not for the internet, not for the comments, not even for the scar, but for the moment she realized this wasn't just a beauty mistake. It was the price of chasing a version of herself that was never real, and she didn't know how to come back from that. The smell of antiseptic made Riley's stomach turn before she even walked in. Beverly Hills never looked so sterile. Dr. Patel's clinic was beautiful in the way most luxury medical offices are. Sleek, marble counters, minimalist art on the walls, ambient lighting that made everyone look like they slept 8 hours a night and never cried. Riley sat in the waiting room in silence. No makeup, no filters, just a surgical mask pulled up as far as it would go. When her name was called, she didn't move at first. Then Maya gave her a look, half support, half nudge, and Riley stood up. The exam room was warmer than she expected. Dr. Patel entered a moment later, a clipboard in hand, but his eyes went directly to hers. "Hi, Riley," he said, calm and clinical. "How's the healing been?" Riley hesitated, tight, still swollen in the mornings, and it tingles sometimes. He nodded. "That's normal. Nerves are waking back up. That's a good sign." He had her sit back on the reclining chair, adjusted the overhead light, and gently peeled off the small bandage she'd worn since the last checkup. "Any bleeding?" he asked. "No," she whispered. "Any fluid, pus, or unusual pain?" "No, just different." Dr. Patel nodded again. With sterile tweezers and a tiny pair of scissors, he began cutting the thin, dissolvable stitches near the graft site. Riley closed her eyes. It didn't hurt, but it felt too much. She flinched as one stitch gave way and the skin slightly pulled. Dr. Patel paused. "You're doing fine," he said quietly. "Almost done." Within 2 minutes, the last suture had been removed. He leaned in closer, examining the scar line. No signs of infection. The tissue is integrating well. Color is still uneven, but that'll improve with time and laser if you choose to do so later. Riley opened her eyes. "So, it's healing?" He looked her in the eye. "Yes. Not perfectly, but safely." Silence. Then she asked the question that had been sitting in her chest like a rock. "Was it my fault?" Dr. Patel didn't answer right away. He turned off the exam light, pulled off his gloves, and sat down across from her. No more clipboard, no more tools, just a doctor speaking to a young woman whose life had been turned upside down by a single decision. "No," he said, "but I want to explain why it happened." Riley nodded, eyes locked on him. "You got injected in a reputable clinic," he began. "Clean, licensed, polished. That's what people think equals safe. But safety isn't in the marble floors or the Instagram feed. It's in the hands holding the needle." He paused, then continued. "From what you described, your injector was a trainee. You didn't consent to that." "No," Riley said. "They never told me." Dr. Patel's jaw tightened slightly. "That's medical negligence." He reached into a drawer and pulled out a laminated diagram of facial arteries. "This," he said, pointing, "is the superior labial artery. It feeds blood to the upper lip. If filler is injected directly into it, or even just close enough to compress it, you get an occlusion, which is what happened to you." He flipped the page. "This," he said, showing her a photo of advanced necrosis, worse than hers, "is what happens when clinics don't act fast." Riley swallowed hard. "But why is no one talking about this?" she asked. "I've seen thousands of filler videos. No one says this can happen." "Because it's bad for business," Dr. Patel said bluntly, "and because the aesthetics industry lives in the gray zone. Medical procedures done in beauty salons, needles sold as touch-ups, and people, young women mostly, taught to see themselves as before pictures waiting to become after." He leaned in. You were sold a risk as if it were a routine. Riley felt the words slam into her. Would it have happened if a real doctor did it? Possibly, he said honestly. No one can guarantee zero risk. But a trained injector recognizes vascular compromise immediately. They don't send you home with ice and a smile. She blinked away tears. I feel stupid. You're not, Dr. Patel said. You were misled. That's different. Riley looked down at her lap. And now I have to live with it. Dr. Patel didn't say anything for a moment. Then he said something she didn't expect. Scars tell stories. Yours can too, if you let it. The sunset poured gold across Riley's living room, casting long shadows on the walls. She sat curled up on the couch, a blanket pulled over her knees, the gauze from her follow-up appointment still fresh on her lip. The city buzzed beyond the window, but inside, everything was still. Karen sat beside her with a cup of peppermint tea, fingers wrapped tightly around the mug like it might anchor her to the moment. They hadn't said much since leaving Dr. Patel's office. Now, in the quiet, words began to fill the space between them. He said I was healing well, Riley whispered, more to herself than to her mother, but it won't look the same. Karen nodded slowly. I know. I still don't know how to talk about it. To them, online, my audience. You don't owe them anything, Karen said gently. Riley shook her head. But I do. I built a life on showing my face, telling people to love theirs. And now, she didn't finish. Karen set her tea down. I want to tell you something I've never said before. Riley looked over, surprised. When I was 21, Karen began. I saved up for a nose job. I hated how it hooked downward when I smiled. I thought if I fixed it, everything would fall into place. That I'd feel like I belonged in my own face. Riley stared at her. I didn't know that. Karen smiled softly. No one did. I told people I had a deviated septum, and for a while I did feel prettier. I wore lipstick. I let people take photos. But it didn't fix the other stuff. The part of me that still felt invisible. She paused. Riley, beauty can give you power, but it can also make you chase it like a high, like a promise that keeps slipping away the closer you get. Riley exhaled, eyes stinging. I used to think confidence meant always being camera ready, she said. But now I think maybe confidence is just not being afraid of being seen. Karen nodded. You don't have to be flawless to be worthy. Riley pulled the blanket tighter. I miss the girl who used to believe that. She's still here, Karen said. She's just buried under a lot of noise. Silence settled between them again, but it wasn't heavy this time. It was soft, gentle. Riley turned toward her mother, voice low. Do you think people will still listen to me if I show them the truth? Karen took her daughter's hand. I think people are starving for the truth. Riley nodded slowly, then leaned her head on Karen's shoulder. They stayed like that as the light faded. Two women, two generations, who had both been told that their worth was tied to how well they played the game. And for the first time, neither of them wanted to win it anymore. Riley stared at the screen for a long time before she hit record. The ring light stayed off. The background was plain. No candles, no glam shelf, no catchy music to distract from what mattered. Just her face, as it was. She took a deep breath and let the front camera capture the truth. Slightly uneven lips, a thin pink scar running across the center, and eyes that had cried more in the last month than in the last 5 years combined, but also clarity, stillness, something honest. Hi, she said softly, her voice steady but quiet. It's been a while. The words hung in the air like they needed permission to keep going. She gave it to them. I know some of you have been wondering where I've been. I disappeared without saying anything, and for that, I'm sorry. She paused, swallowing. I had a lip filler injection 6 weeks ago. It was supposed to be quick, simple, safe. It wasn't. Her voice wavered, but she kept going. The person who injected me wasn't a licensed doctor. I didn't know that at the time. I was in a clinic that looked legit. The website was gorgeous. Celebrities tagged them. It felt like the right place. She looked straight into the lens now. But beauty clinics can lie, and filler can go wrong. Another pause. This time, she allowed it to land. I had a vascular occlusion. Part of my upper lip lost blood supply. I needed emergency treatment to save the tissue. I'm healing, but it's not the same, and it never will be. A long inhale, and I'm not saying this for sympathy. I'm saying this because I wish someone had said it to me. She reached for her phone, tapped to add a photo, one she'd taken in the bathroom mirror 3 nights ago. No filters, no angle correction, just a close-up of the healing scar. She attached it to the post, Then, slowly, she typed her caption. Fast isn't always safe, and beauty without truth isn't beauty. I learned it the hard way. Riley stared at the post for a moment. Then she pressed publish. Her finger trembled slightly when she did. The screen refreshed. The video went live. The photo sat beneath it. Her story was no longer hers alone. It now belonged to whoever needed it. She set the phone down and exhaled. There was no applause, no dopamine rush, no viral high, just a strange, quiet sense of peace, like she'd stopped running, like maybe, just maybe, this was the most beautiful she'd ever been. The notifications rolled in like waves, hundreds, then thousands. The video Riley posted had passed 100,000 views within a day. By the end of the week, it hit 2.3 million. The comments section became a strange sanctuary, a war zone of opinions, emotions, confessions. Some wrote with anger. This happened to my sister too. No one believed her. Sue them. This isn't just a mistake, it's malpractice. Why isn't this illegal yet? Others wrote with heartbreak. I almost went to the same clinic. I have a scar on my chin from a laser that went wrong. Thank you for speaking up. I thought I was alone. There were trolls, of course. There always were, but for once, they didn't land like knives, because something else was louder. The truth. Buried between the algorithms and the outrage. Riley saw it. A comment, simple and direct. I was going to get filler this weekend. I canceled my appointment. Thank you. Riley stared at it for a long time, longer than any other comment. Not because it was dramatic, but because it wasn't. It was quiet. It was real. And it was proof, living digital proof, that her pain had shifted the path of another woman. Maybe just one, but maybe enough. She took a screenshot. She saved it in a folder on her phone titled, Worth It. Later that night she called Maya. I want to make a new video, she said. Not about me, about how to do this right. Maya didn't hesitate. Tell me what you need. 2 weeks later, Riley launched her new series, Let's Talk Beauty Safely. No ring light, no background music, no filters, just her. Sometimes with Maya, sometimes with a licensed professional, sometimes with other women who had been through their own private versions of aesthetic regret. The first episode, How to Spot a Fake Injector, then Red Flags No One Talks About, and eventually, What I Wish I Knew Before My First Filler. It didn't go viral the way makeup hauls did, but it mattered. The comments changed, the tone changed. This is what I needed, following for actual education. You just saved me from making a huge mistake. Even Dr. Patel reached out. He offered to appear in one of her videos, and he did, calm, confident, breaking down the science behind beauty with precision and warmth. They sat across from each other under soft lights. Riley asked him what she once feared to hear. Do you think I'll ever look like myself again? Dr. Patel had smiled gently. No, he said, you'll look like someone who learned, and that version of you might be even stronger. The audience agreed. The new Riley wasn't just a creator, she was a cautionary tale wrapped in healing. And somehow people trusted her more now than ever, not because she was flawless, but because she was whole. She still had bad days, the scar was still there, the muscle tension around her lip never fully relaxed. Smiling on camera took work, but it was her smile now, every inch of it earned. One morning as she brewed coffee and glanced at her growing list of video ideas, she paused. She pulled out her phone, opened her notes app and typed, No trend is worth your face. Your smile is more than a filter. It's yours. Protect it. She stared at the words for a moment, then smiled softly. Not perfectly, but fully. Beauty shouldn't come with a warning label, but sometimes it does. And when it does, it's not just your face that changes. It's your trust, your confidence, your sense of self. We chase perfection, filter after filter, injection after injection, hoping to feel enough. But what if enough was never something you needed to add? What if it was something you already had? Before the appointment, before the bruises, before the scar. The final image fades in. Riley, standing in soft morning light, no makeup, the faint scar on her lip visible, but she's smiling, genuinely, freely. Her hand brushes across her face, not to hide it, but to feel it, because sometimes the most beautiful thing you can do is to simply show up as you are. So let me ask you, have you ever felt pressure to change your appearance to be accepted? What do you wish someone had told you sooner? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if this story moved you, helped you, or made you think twice, subscribe for more honest beauty stories, because the next one might save someone you love.